Looks good.
Very easy. Yes, because you tell which is.
Wow.
You know what's funny?
All right, guys. Today we're gonna go ahead with episode number 3 here of Home Sweet Home.
You know what I realized? I was in all three.
What?
I was in all three.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and continue up, guys. Now I know we're getting really close to the end of the game here. So I'm definitely excited to see what's gonna be happening here next, guys.
Okay. Yep. That's not creepy.
Oh, it's not creepy? I don't think it is. Oh my god, did this game just look better all of a sudden? I don't remember it looking this good. Yeah, I changed some things on my computer now, so the game runs phenomenal. Look, even when I'm recording it, look, it's smooth. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, not this whatever other...
Yeah, just Daddy, this game gives me. Plus, I looked at the creepy children's drawings today.
Uh-huh. What? You want me to play Baldi's Basics?
Don't you? No, I'm not gonna have some bald man. I'm not gonna have a bald man with one single hair chasing me to go like.
Right.
Hand.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and get started with this. I'm gonna turn my volume up, so I'm not gonna be able to really hear too much.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to stand.
Put those over back to the side. All right, here we go, guys. All right, so right now we're going through the cave. Let's get our nights of exploration here. It looks like we got a bunch of statues. I don't know what the deal is with these statues. They have like some kind of historical effect or something with the cave. Wow, that's a lot of statues. Look at these statues. Holy mackerel.
What the? Nope. Nope. If this was me in real life,
I feel like they're gonna come alive.
Hey, if this was me in real life, I'd be like nope, time to turn around.
Oh no, not these guys.
What are those? I saw the life and I saw this stuff. I thought.
Oh, they're giving me these. I gotta be prepared. These guys are gonna come alive on the ground. I feel rusty, like my hands are just not ready for this. Guys, we gotta get our hands ready. Alright. Whoa. This is gonna be interesting, guys. Alright, so these guys are gonna come alive, so let's make sure we're ready for this. So right now I only got like 3 of the... Can you... Not so close, because you're making me like anxious here. Holy, what the... Oh, shoot! Okay. Oh! Too many of them! Woohoo! Let's run in circles. There's a bunch of you. I need to be. Oh gosh. Okay, that did nothing to you.
Daddy.
Yeah.
I saw these guys. I would run as fast as I could and never return back.
It's okay. It's okay. I got these guys. I learned how they fight, kind of.
I'm like, nope. Turn around. Run away. Never come back here. Right? Go back to my home. Actually, I don't think you have any home.
Ooh.
Do you have a home in this game?
Oh, okay. Come on. You want to dance? Seriously, dude? Man, I totally just missed that. Oh gosh. Oh! Hey, there's a guy stuck in a wall. Hey, what's up, buddy? How's it going? How's it hanging? Okay, that's enough. You guys are insane. Alright, come on, a little more, a little more, a little more. Got him. More? Is that it?
No, there's still
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
I told you there's still one more.
Got him down.
Hey, there's another one.
Hold on. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of it. There's that one still stuck in the wall. Hold on. Let me grab whatever items that are in here right now because we need them. How do you do that? I don't know. These look like little poop balls. I don't know, like an animal like took a dump or something.
I know. I was about to say that you.
It sounds like you're slapping them. Yeah, we're slapping.
Slap.
It'll be a chicken. I'm trying not to, guys. I'm trying not to be a chicken.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Oh! You got him stuck.
You son of a mofo! Man, he wasn't supposed to do that.
Yes, you.
All right, that's it. I'm moving on out of here, guys. I feel like this door is gonna like trap on me. Watch. No? Oh wow. We're safe.
Yeah, imagine the statues come alive.
Yeah, this statue has like a weird face to it.
Looks like King Arthur. Look. Daddy, doesn't it look like King Arthur when he's going like this? Look.
Right.
It looks like King Arthur when he goes.
You know, I think I got it. One of these days, I'm gonna get me another gaming chair. So, gaming chairs.
Yeah, this would be nice because.
Right.
Gotta give your son
But they're like $300 to $500, man. They're expensive.
You gotta give your son some love too.
Yeah, I know.
You
Man, look at all these health. You know what? I'm gonna use one because I hate when I have the.
Daddy, that's not good. Why is he giving you all those needles and all the health?
Yeah, that's a bunch. See, I thought those were like nail filers for a second. Like, you file your nails? That's what I thought they were.
Daddy?
Right, Thomas said we look alike.
Why is that statue?
I don't know.
Imagine they come alive. Hey, dude.
That's it. I'm gonna pray my way up here.
Look where praying got you.
Alright, well, let's do it.
Is that Demon Bull King?
I don't know. But we're up here, we gotta be careful. These guys are gonna come alive, I bet you.
There's some.
I think they see my flashlight. Oh, what the? Oh, that's baloney. Oh no! You don't see me. All right, hit and run, guys. Hit and run. We got to be careful with this. These guys, so many of them. All right, we want to be careful with this one. Come on, just a little more, guys. See, I learned that we can hit them from a distance with this, which is good. And he just totally just blocked that. Wow, he blocked that too. Like the Western movies? Yeah, you know what's funny? I know when I was doing like that when I was doing the what you call it? The hold on a second, let me check something. When I was doing like the I can't even talk right now. The intro, like the music we were playing kind of felt like last year, The Nightmare. What's the deal with that game? David, what's going on, David? Welcome back. Got him. Man, there's a bunch of them. He knows I'm here. Oh gosh, he's looking at me. He's looking at me. See, I didn't have this knife the whole game. I just recently got it. This knife helps a lot. Man, he's just dodging them. Check him out. Ooh, one hit to the base. Oh god, this guy's moving now. Hit to the face. Okay, so why is there wood on fire here? Like, was there recently a fire? I don't get what's going on here. The game became too toxic? Ouch. It's never a good thing. Oh, these guys are like one hit, most of these guys, so that's actually pretty good.
Wait, Daddy, I have a Did the statue set the wood on fire?
I don't know. My character's getting tired.
Yeah, I can see.
He's moaning.
What?
Oh, I like these guys. These guys are taking one hit. That's what I'm talking about. I totally just missed that. Oh, he dodged me. That's what he did. Come on. Right to your base there, buddy. What you gonna do with all my knives? All my knives in between your eyes. You better think twice.
He's gonna throw them at all you.
Oh, dear jeez. Why so... See, so the AI... I noticed that the AI gets confused when I attack them from a distance. So it's a pretty good technique I've been using. It's been helping me out.
Yeah. Glitch the game. Did a bunch of
Yeah, see? They don't even come after me now from this distance, so that's perfect. Oh, gosh.
Shanks, the boy.
He was like, oh, what you say about AI? Look, I can explain. I can. Man, he's still alive. It's not even fun right now. Okay. Well, you got a free key anyway, so you're good, right? It is what it is. Man, this guy does not want to go down. Wow, look at this guy. This is crazy. Yeah, we gotcha. We gotcha. I had to itch my. I gotta get me a back scratcher. Too lazy to reach that far. This guy's really holding it down, guys. You know what game I enjoyed? That Beast Inside. I loved that game. I was so mad when I beat it.
You're doing back in your back while I have to be over here struggling. Itch the itch. Get on my back, but I can't.
Oh!
We're talking about it.
Goodbye. Oh, what the? I hear somebody. Where is he? Oh no. Something's gonna happen in this weird narrow cave. Like, I bet she's gonna try to cave in on me or something.
How much you want to bet it's gonna kind of want you?
Yeah, you remember last year the nightmare, right? They came back out again, but I don't think they're doing as good this round. What the hell just happened?
Watch, that piece of wood's gonna fall on you, Daddy. Watch, look, in front of you.
Who?
In front of you, look, that piece of wood. You ran.
Hold on, we got a big statue here. This one has... This might be a boss fight.
That demon bull.
I have no idea. Oh, what the? Holy crap, that scared the creepity shibbities out of me. And of course I tried to run backwards. The game knew it. It's like, ah, where you going? Flame on, baby. Alright, alright. Hey, you gave me some light though. Give me credit for that. Holy macro. That made you jump too? It made me creeped out. I jumped out like a son of a gun.
I didn't jump because I didn't hear anything.
You're lucky.
Hey, it's called wear no headphones.
Okay, so, this guy's holding a piece of wood like he's about to beat me with it. He's like, holy shoot, what the? Holy dear jeez.
What did you say about my king? How much you want to bet this was a sanctuary a long time ago, trying to revive the king?
Oh, gosh. Of course you're coming out through there. Why wouldn't you? Oh! I gotta run in circles. Running in circles, guys. Come on. That's right. Oh, he's coming for me.
Dad, how much you want to bet this was a sanctuary where people were trying to revive their king?
They were trying to do something.
Look, there's a king.
Yeah, he's really up to no good.
imagine if that statue comes alive
All
in
right,
the middle.
some of these guys are taking one hit, which is good.
Daddy, imagine when you defeat all those little guys, that guy comes alive in the middle.
What am I supposed to do here?
Shit!
Holy macaroni! My guy, he runs like a slowpoke. Yikes! Oh, guys, he's coming in through the fire. Swing and a miss on my part. Okay, just dodge it. Oh! Seriously, dude? Holy macaroni. One on my way. Oh, he's behind me. Got him. How many more are they?
5.
I think I gotta do something here.
How much you want to bet it's something with the statue in the middle?
Macaroni and cheese. Oh my god, why does that sound so good? Thomas is laughing his butt off.
Hey, does that have something to do with the statue in the middle?
It might be. You might be. Oh yeah. I can't. It gave me a hand.
See that? I knew it. And you just didn't see it.
Oh, these guys are everywhere. Ooh wee!
They're after you.
Burn, baby, burn. Oh gosh.
Daddy, they're after you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, don't turn around. Okay, all right. Run in circles, cause that's just what we do. Just keep running. Oh, oh. That was not very nice. What the? Where are you guys coming from? Yo, guys, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of these guys right now. Let's be careful. That run around trick is not working so good right now. I'm trying to take some of them out. There's no way I could have done this with a controller. Man, I just swung and a miss on that one. Oh, I can't even do it with a mouse. Who am I kidding? Two down. All right, so we're standing clear on that one. Oh, so yeah, so the statue is just holding like the things. Did I eat cookies? 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 Cookies sounds pretty good. Look at you, David. You're getting it, bro. You're getting it in. Look at it. See, your stats are building up. Mm-hmm. Yo, you can't eat cookies without milk. I don't know about you guys. I can't eat my cookies dry. My cookies got to be wet. I like my cookies wet. Okay, so I grabbed that because I wanted the whole thingy to like kind of stand clear from that. So where am I supposed to? Oh, this path just opened up. Okay, that was pretty intense. I was pretty much on spot there. Breakthrough. Okay. Something doesn't feel right.
How much you want to bet?
Cobwebs, artwork, and like sharp looking poles.
How much you want to bet those are gonna spin?
Spin or it's gonna cave in. It's a trap. It's a trap.
Daddy, how much you want to bet that's gonna spin and go like this, Daddy? Look. How much you want to bet that's gonna? Look.
Yeah.
Closing
Is the
together.
game audio too loud, guys? Yeah, it might. Hey, what the? Those who neglect the 5 precepts will be condemned to hell, according to the sins they've committed. They will be tortured to death, then resurrected to be tortured again and again. Those who neglect the first precept and commit murder will be tied up and covered with flaming metal. They will then be sliced into pieces by the blades of hell until they die. Wow, that's what happens. Okay. Oh. Yeah, that,
What I think that is.
Wow. Wow, and you talking about me? Okay, so I'm seeing pretty much the same artwork over here.
Dad, cause look, it.
Mm-hmm. My favorite one is this one. Oh gosh.
Poor Daddy.
Oh, this one's different. Well, let's read what it is first. Those who neglect the 5th precept, what the heck, and commit intoxication will be tied up and have flaming acid forcefully poured on down their throats, burning their organs until they die. That just sounds pretty brutal. Look, they pour acid and you drink it, and it burns your insides. Wow. Looks all happy porn. They're like, wow. And then a popo comes for you. Yeah, but you gotta understand, guys, back then there were no popos. You know, you were like, especially like these remind me of kind of like Egyptian type things.
Dad, you're missing one over there. Look, go back.
Just the one, just acid.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the new one right here. Let's see what this one's all about. Those who neglect the 3rd precept and commit sexual misconduct will be forced to climb a thorn-covered tree. Ouch. Hungry hell crows will peck at them as the sharp thorns pierce through their skin. They will not be allowed down, as the guards of hell will use spears to force them to keep climbing up the tree. Ah, look. They can't climb down, they have to keep going up. Because they got the dogs and the spears poking you to go up. So as you're climbing, you're getting poked. And then the crows are stabbing at your body. That's messed up, bro. Who thought of this? And I thought I had a sick mind. I think they beat me. Oh, look at this one. She's petting the dog while the dog is like, I don't know. That's so weird.
Dad, look, go back. Realize, look.
Yeah, I don't even know if you should be looking like this.
Go closer. He's licking it.
Ugh. Maybe he's speaking for the. Oh, this one looks like they're about to cut the tongues out. Oh gosh. Ooh. Wow. This is my kind of game. Those who neglect the 4th precept and commit falsehoods by lying or swearing will be tied up before their tongues are pulled out by flaming pincers. Ouch. That's brutal. Instead of Bruno Mars, we'll call it Brutal Mars. Let's do the next one. Oh yeah, you're very welcome. This one looks like it's going to be interesting. Let's see. Those who neglect the 2nd precept and greedily commit theft or fraud will be tied up and thrashed with the whips of darkness. They will then be hammered with pins and ultimately sawed into pieces. Wow, look, they hammer you down and then they... Wow, look at that hammer on your hand. Can you imagine somebody taking a big hammer and just hammering your hand with the nails like that? And then... Oh... This hammering again. Where's the saw? Oh, there it is. That's a sword. Wait a minute, is that the monk? But yeah, so you get hammered down and then they cut you up. Ouch.
Hey, you know what I realized?
Huh.
All these people are naked.
It's art. It's just... This one doesn't say anything. Oh, this is... We saw this already. Yep. So we're just seeing the same things right now. How long is this hallway? Okay, so now we're just seeing the same artwork for the most.
Still going. It's same picture.
Yeah. We're getting towards the end though. Oh no, here's the red rope. That means something bad's about to happen.
Just running, just.
The game just lagged. I just saw that. Something loaded in. Where are you?
Just.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the hallway.
Yep, I'm saving it. You know what I love about saving the game in this game though? It always gives me a hand. Oh, okay.
Dad jokes.
Right. What's up, Solid?
See, this is what dads. They always make dad jokes and they're so cringy.
Wow. Ooh, somebody was performing a ritual here. Wow. Oh, it's my wife. Oh, can't kill her. Okay. Hey, it's her fault. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. Oh my god, that's the mannequin lady. These are all the people that were being tortured. What the heck? Remember her?
Yeah, Blushy's good.
The one that was dancing, remember?
Yeah, Blushy's good.
What about kid jokes? Right, they said, what about kid jokes?
Yeah, kids don't do jokes.
Jane! Jane! Hold on. I'll find a way over there.
Do you have to yell that loud where a demon can hear you?
So I gotta get over to Jane. Jane looks like she's still alive, but who are everybody else? There's a lot more people in this room. This is like a torture area. Oh, all those signs you read, they committed some kind of sin. So they're all being punished for their actions. Honestly, I have no idea. Can I fall off? Oh, oh my god, what's down there? Whoa.
All the dead souls.
Mary Jane, right? Oh, you just got home from work? Nice.
Daddy,
Hey, that's the
look.
time to relax, Solid. Get that relaxation.
Want to bet it's good.
Yeah, I don't know. What is all this? Why is it so... You know what, though? I mean, I do like that they continued this game, but I kind of felt like part 1 was still a little better, personally. What am I supposed to do here? Hold on. Something ain't right.
But Dad, go back.
Oh. Oh.
Epic fail.
Look at that.
Epic.
Look at that. I'm not really sure, Jay. Like, honestly, I wasn't gonna go live today. But I figured, you know what? I know usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays is our normal, like, at the desk streams. But I figured we gotta beat this game.
Yeah, and he's gonna be doing a little stream with his own son tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Wait a minute. Who was supposed to be here? It takes me back over there again. I don't want to go that way. So now we gotta go across again. Oh, who's over here?
Oh.
Huh? What are you attached to?
There.
Okay. Oh, wait, this is that guy. Or, no, wait.
Hey, there's another.
That's the other lady from part 1. That's the original Home Sweet Home lady. This is the one that attacked me in the schools. They don't even look like they're restrained. What the heck? Oh my god. It would have been nice if she made a reappearance. So who's this one?
Hey, what are those ropes attached to? What are those ropes attached to?
Well, this is good enough. At least it's to the rock. So who is this one? I don't remember who this is.
It's nothing.
No, honestly, I don't remember who that is. Like, what was his purpose in this game? I can't recall. Like, it's not. This one's not ringing a bell. Here's my wife. Uh-oh. She looks normal too. I think this is another illusion.
Jane. Jane, wake up. I'm here.
Tim?
It's me. Let's go, Jane. It's all over. We can go home now.
Oh, you came for me. I thought no one would ever find me.
I'm here. Jane, it's really me. You don't need to be afraid anymore. I made a promise that I'd be there for you no matter what. I'd never leave you.
Oh, this is... Oh, I'm sorry, Tim. I'm truly sorry, Tim. I'm so sorry, Tim.
Don't be. There's no need to cry. It's me who screwed up. I'm the one who needs to be apologizing. I'm sorry I didn't take care of you.
No.
I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. And I'm sorry that I never believed you when you told me about all this.
Oh, Tim. Tim. I'm so sorry, Tim. Oh, this is all my fault.
You don't have to apologize. It's all right, Jane. We're gonna be fine. Okay?
Something's not right.
All right,
Oh,
let's
thank
get out
you.
of here.
I love...
Oh! Oh, not that guy. What? I knew it. I knew it. I just knew something was gonna happen because behind her was a big open gap. She should have kept moving. And I think we're getting into a boss fight. So I came all the way this way for nothing.
Jane!
Oh, he evolved.
What more do you want from us?
The only worth you had was as a blood sacrifice. Now you've ruined my ritual. Don't think that you'll get out of here alive. It's time to follow your death.
Oh, eliminate Chai? How the hell do I do that?
Who's Chai?
That guy. So what am I supposed to do here?
What's his purpose in
Holy shoot! I don't know if that does anything or not.
What's his purpose in the game?
I have no idea. He's one of the bad guys. Holy shoot!
I jumped!
He was in my face. Oh, I got him. Oh, I gotta hit him on top. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, what the? What are those?
Jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, Daddy, did he evolve from all the people?
Got him.
Did he evolve from all the people he killed?
This is what I gotta do a couple times.
Daddy, did he evolve from all the people?
I have no idea. What the?
You have some power.
Yo, this guy.
He has a super jump. Did he kill your wife?
Ooh. Got you, buddy. Come on. That's two on you.
Daddy, did he kill your wife?
I have no idea, dude. I gotta hit this guy from a distance. He's just breaking everything. He killed my wife. That's messed up, yo. Oh, he's jumping. What the? Come on. Got him.
What happened to his body?
I have no idea. Well, he wasn't that big before. He's 2 people in one. Oh, what the? Oh, what the hell was that? You're cheating. He's using cheat codes. He just pulled a scorpion. Get over here on me. Where is he? Oh, what the? Oi-hee-hee.
Okay, what do you mean he's 2 people in one? Is he a monster mixed with a human?
Yeah, so he's that other big guy I fought before. But he's also the small guy too.
I didn't see the big guy you fought before.
The big guy was the one holding the sword.
Oh yeah, I saw.
The old man was his leader. He resurrected him. Alright, how many hits is this guy gonna have?
Oh, so Daddy, the sword guy's
Oh, what are you doing there, bro? What is he doing? Oh, no, you don't. Oh, gosh. Okay.
Wait, so Daddy, he's that big sword guy with that with the organ body, and the old man went into him. Is that what happened?
Oh, what did he do? He just killed them all? Let me guess, he resurrected his health. He doesn't know where I am. Oh yeah, he does. I lied. There we go, we got a hit on him.
Daddy,
Hold on.
I have a question. Is that the sword guy's body?
No, that sword, the executioner, the guy's on top of him.
No, I'm saying like that's the sword guy's body, the one with the big giant sword, and then the old man was doing it. That happened, Daddy? That happened?
Hold on, I can't hear you. Give me a second. I don't get what he's doing here. Come on, a couple more, guys. Couple more. Seriously, dude? Wow, I totally just missed that. Got him.
Daddy, is that the sword guy's body?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're combined together.
And the old man went on top of him?
T sounds really amazing, guys.
And then the old man took his sword? That what happened, Daddy?
Mm-hmm. Shoot. Alright, we got a hit on him. I'm almost out of cover here. Come on. Come on. How much more health are you gonna have? That's it? No way. He couldn't have been that easy. Yeah, so this is what he looked like.
No.
Yeah, see, that was the old man. And he combined his body to the executioner, which was the guy carrying the sword. This was the executioner. The heck? Okay. Yeah, so we came all the way this way to save our wife. And then she gets stabbed. And we just took out the guy that did it. And I guess we're gonna check out and see what's going on. Oh no.
Jane, wake up. Please, stay with
Still
me.
alive.
Tim, I can't go with you.
What? Don't say that.
I'm sorry for getting you involved in all of this. It's entirely my fault.
No, stay with me. Let's go home, Jane.
It's too late.
We can go home.
Please take care of yourself. Tim, I love you.
No, Jane. Oh, God. Please don't leave me. Jane. Jane.
Oh no, what's happening now?
Damn it. How can you still be alive? You won't get away.
Oh! That just happened. So some random pillar just came flying down. My wife is dead. Look at her wound. She got cut.
Not that bad. You can really get still revived.
Why is her arm in the blood like that? What the heck? I finally found her. And
Daddy!
then
If you
nothing.
take her to the hospital, she can still be alive because she didn't get stabbed in the heart or the brain.
But how would I go to the hospital? We're not really on Earth as much. Not really. We're like in a different dimension, pretty much. Like, wait, am I supposed to go this way or climb that? Maybe we do go this way. Yep. But what's with all the blood? Like, I'm curious to look around. Oh yeah, we definitely gotta go this way.
That speaker? Hold on, go back. Doesn't that look like a speaker from the front? Like, oh hey!
Right.
Like, oh hey, today's news is 100% chance of horror.
Oh, he's coming back for me. Nope. What the heck?
He just said ditch the body. No, he just said leave the body.
Okay. Oh,
Daddy, he just said leave the body. I can do it on my own with my big head, right? Right, Daddy?
I can hit those, I think.
Daddy, he just said ditch the body, right?
Yep.
He's behind you. Oh! I didn't realize how big your head is. Dad, why do you have to... Ooh!
Yeah, we don't want to deal with that guy.
Run on those tiny little legs, boy!
Holy gosh!
Run on your tiny little legs! Can you run? Look behind you. See
Yo,
where
who's
he's at.
somebody's out there? Look, you see them? Or what is that?
Look behind you. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. You got hit.
Oh my god! That's the monk.
Quickly, this way. Return to your world. Leave the rest to me.
I thought he left. So the monk is still around? Well, the monk did say there was no saving her, so he did have a point there.
That's your regular world?
We didn't really play the house that much in this game. The other version, part 1, we played the house more. Escape from here? Oh boy.
Hey, here's one problem. I don't think the monk's around anymore.
No, now we're back on Earth. See, we
No,
were.
I'm saying I don't think the monk's around in that dimension anymore.
No.
Because remember the big head went like this.
Yeah, but the monk did help me get that knife too. Yeah, it said escape from here, but what am I escaping from?
No, it said check. Because you escaped from the, dude.
Oh, okay.
It said check because you already did.
Yeah, I remember part 1, we came in here, the shower turned into blood, and it was crazy. No reflection? What the heck?
Wait, so Daddy, the shower turned into blood and that's how you got into that dimension?
No, that was part 1. Like part 1, you played more of the house. Every time you beat a level, you came back to the house, and the house changed every time. They didn't do that in part 2 too much. He's just monkeying around. Get it?
Daddy.
Wow.
Hopefully the monk is... Daddy?
I'm a vampire.
Daddy?
Yeah.
I just saw the head and it went out the...
Uh-oh. Oh, and I remember this. We used to use this to go into the other... I don't have a flashlight. Shoot.
Use that to go into the other dimension.
Yeah.
So the monk was pretty much on your side the whole time?
Yeah, the monk was a good guy.
Finally.
He had limits where he couldn't do certain things, but he was able to... He helped me forge a knife, and that's what helped me against the demons.
What were you supposed to do?
Well, it said escape from here, so I guess I just go out the doors there, but I want to...
No!
I want to explore the house.
Daddy, it meant escape from the big head, which you did, and it gave you a check.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
okay.
But I think you're actually supposed to walk out the door.
Hey, he's a monkey. Right.
Yeah, but I think you're...
I don't like that picture because it keeps going up and down. Somebody didn't do the dishes.
They should ate before. God. Isn't your wife around to do the...
She's dead. Okay, well, here's the thing about this picture. Watch this. I put it up. Oh, it stays up now?
Yeah, because you're not going to... Hey, are you supposed to walk outside? Can you stop?
Yeah, the picture's not going down anymore. It's not haunted.
Hey, are you supposed to walk out the door?
Yeah, I
But
think
Daddy,
so.
you're a Chinese family? Hold on. Like koi fish?
Hold on.
Look at your wall. Look at your wall. That way. Like koi fish.
Okay, hold on. The phone's ringing. Oh gosh, maybe it's my friend.
Hello.
Hey, Tim. It's Stu. Where have you been, man? Everything okay? We've all been worried about you.
Yeah, I'm fine. You caught me at the right time.
I've been trying to get hold of you forever. Thank God you finally answered. Have you heard anything about Jane? Do you want me to come over so we can talk?
Yeah, come on over. I really want to talk. To you.
It was still in my hand. I can't skip this. I don't like when they play music. I'm gonna get copyrighted. Oh, then I'm just gonna do that because I don't want music playing right now, guys. They get pretty butthurt about it, so we're just gonna leave it like this for now. Yeah, that's it. We beat it, guys. We totally just beat it.
But Daddy, you heard him? He said, I really want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And then the thing was like all lovely. And you saw the sword. And when his hand was shaking with like red electricity. And the sword went in his hand. Saw it?
I guess my character turned evil. Yeah, I don't know. Like, so we just kind of... I don't know. I don't even know what to say right now. Thank you, guys. I don't know.
Wait, Daddy, if our character turned evil, does that mean they're going to make a part 3? Show us what happened? But Daddy, you saw that though? He went like this. Look. His hand was shaking and the sword went in his hand. You saw it?
Uh-oh, yeah.
Wait.
Thank you. What's going on there, Zio? Alright, so we're going to let the credits roll, guys. And then we'll definitely be getting right back in just a moment, guys.
Wait a
Hold
second,
on.
Daddy.
What's up?
Was that scar from the guy?
Dame tu cosita, dame tu cosita, ay, dame tu cosita, dame tu cosita, ay, dame tu cosita, muerde para aquí, muerde para allá, dame tu cosita.
game it's called.
If I don't have it installed, I probably won't be able to do that. Okay, so it looks like it's almost done.
Ay, dame tu cosita.
Muévete para aquí, muévete para allá.
Dame tu cosita.
Hey, just play the game. I'll play with.
I'm not doing those right now.
No, play
Well,
with me.
Frosty Nights I think I took out.
No, play with me. You can actually move.
Wait.
Have you ever heard of hindrances?
What the heck is going on here? Watching TV?
When you're in hindrance, your spirit cannot move on.
My spirit cannot move on? The monk's talking.
Is that the monk?
Hindrances are what prevents the spirit from continuing on to the other realm.
Hold on. Stop. Oh boy.
It lingers, wandering as a ghost.
I think it's telling us there's a part 3 coming out.
This realm we are currently in, this is the hindrance.
I remember those, so it's giving me a reference of what's been going on. What the heck was that? Was that like Wisha? It looks like her, right? Wow.
Your anxieties, your attachments to the world
So that's my character and the wife.
are your hindrances.
That's what's going on. It's explaining. That's a woman from part 1. Yep, this was the school. See, I missed playing part 1.
Her face cricket. She literally went like this. Look.
Why do they say?
What goes around comes around, as they say.
Wow, so we just beat it. Unbelievable. Right. You just gotta do game broadcast. All you gotta do, Zio. That's all you gotta
Wait,
do, really.
Daddy.
They give you instructions what to do. What's up?
The school lady's face was like this. Look. School lady's face was like this.
Okay, guys. So what we're gonna do is actually let me go ahead and end this recording, because we're technically done with Home Sweet Home. Sadly, I thought we were gonna at least get a little more, but that's okay. So we're gonna go ahead and end that real quick.